The View. They do call it The View still, right?
Yes.
So the president must really hate this guy, James Comey, I think. Right now in particular, because not only did Comey sing like a canary to the Senate Intelligence Agency committee yesterday, but he also is now more famous than Trump, which really ticks him off.
Yeah.
So let's watch some highlights from the Hill. Watch.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document. But my common sense told me what's going on here is that he's looking to get something in exchange for granting my request to stay in the job. I mean, this is the President of the United States with me alone saying, I hope this. I took it as this is what he wants me to do. And that's why I very carefully chose the words. And look, I've seen the tweet about tapes. Lordy, I hope they're tapes. So I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
Okay, so interesting stuff. So he basically admits that he has these memos, and he tells his friend, who was a professor at Columbia University, I believe.
Law school, yeah.
Law school. He says to him, send it to the New York Times, which is what he did. Now, do you think he's a rat or a whistleblower?
I think that's awful,
Why?
actually. Because he's basically telling you that as the head of the FBI, he had an agenda.
He wasn't
He was
anymore.
a private citizen after being fired by the president.
All right, fine. But that's the role.
Very important distinction.
Okay, but that's the role when people think of him and think of him in this investigation, that's the role they think of. So you went through all this, and then you decided that you wanted a special counsel, so you were going to send these memos off to your friend, and you were going to have them leaked. Is that...
So if you think that... So wait a minute. Put yourself in that position.
If he was leaking information about Hillary Clinton, would everyone at the table would have thought that was a great idea? I would have been sitting here and said, that's not right. Why did he do that?
A whistleblower serves a purpose.
Okay, you know what?
Yeah. Otherwise, corruption... Wait a minute. Can I finish my sentence?
You can finish. James Comey gets me mad.
Oh, why? Why does he make you so mad?
He's making me mad because you know what? You sat there all of those months. If you had such a problem with what Trump was doing and you thought there was an obstruction of justice, if you thought Trump was saying things to you that were inappropriate, if you thought he was obstructing potentially this investigation into Michael Flynn, why did you keep your mouth shut?
Because he was investigating it. Because he was investigating it.
Resign.
I think James Comey is a patriot.
That's right.
I think he's a patriot. He leaked the detail of Donald Trump's obstruction of justice, in my opinion, by asking Flynn to be, for the Flynn investigation to go away so that a special counsel could be appointed. A special counsel has been appointed, and guess what? That special counsel now has these memos. So now what started out as an investigation into Russian collusion with perhaps the campaign is now an investigation into the president's, I think, illegal
obstruction of justice.
That's what the investigation is.
That's open to interpretation. If you want to say that he's a patriot, he's also a patriot that many Democrats wanted to fire. In fact, President Obama's advisor Valerie Jarrett reportedly urged Obama to fire him. Senator Feinstein, who today specifically said, why not say something to POTUS that this is wrong? And he said, if I were stronger, I would have. She said that his letter to Congress back in October was appalling. And I think that
so if you know that the president is a crook,
right,
and you are able to leak that to the press, you don't want to tell that?
No, I'm saying, why doesn't he report it?
He was already fired when he did it.
But what is he? Okay,
he was investigating.
But you guys already, if he's supposed to be an independent bureau, and he's saying that it's compromised because he's being asked certain things that are uncomfortable. I also am not shocked he didn't speak up in the moment. When he was caught so off guard saying he never had to take a memo with President Obama or President Bush, this is a new scenario. We all find ourselves with our jaws on the floor. Whether we all would think in the right moment exactly what to say, I don't think he'd ever thought he'd be in a situation like that.
Of course.
So
I'm
not surprised he didn't say the right thing in the moment. I'm also not surprised that the 2 points can exist. Democrats can say what he did with Hillary Clinton did affect the election and it's not right. And we can still say that why he's being fired right now is also not right. So they can both exist. I have a real problem with him. I think he's been there for a long time.
Is it hard for Republicans to hold two thoughts at once?
Yeah, I do it all the time. I hold many. They're all here. Look.
I thought you weren't a Republican.
I'm not a Republican, but I'm a conservative, and it doesn't, whether he's whether it regards Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, I can look at James Comey and say, this doesn't make sense to me that you held your position for a very long time and repeatedly had interactions and didn't step out. But let me just say, the big issue here, though, there's nothing here that implies, people need to know, there's no implication of collusion with Russia. There's no implication that Donald Trump tried to shut this investigation down.
Oh, of course there is.
Where is it?
Oh, here we go again. Let's not do this conversation right now because there's something else that interested me. The fact that Paul Ryan he wants everyone to cut Trump some slack, and listen to why. Because he says he doesn't know anything. He's like a novice. He's a novice, he says. Why should he know everything? That's what Paul Ryan is saying. Now, here, in other words, what he's saying is put your faith in this man, even though he doesn't know anything.
I think what he's saying is accurate in one sense, that Donald Trump, there's an issue here that he doesn't know how to properly do this politics stuff. There is
completely different from government.
Yeah, I think there is.
Different.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, just to tell you what Paul Ryan said specifically, he says he's new to government. He probably wasn't steeped in the long-running protocols that establish the relationships between DOJ, the FBI, and White Houses. And I will say, if you put yourself in maybe the president's shoes, or just think about in your past, like when you start a new job, like I had issues when I first started at ABC. I didn't know the proper protocols, and I got myself into a lot of trouble.
You know what?
I get that, but sometimes you don't necessarily know the pecking order. The government is completely
step on the
different.
The first thing I would do when I join a new place, and it's the first thing I do in every situation, is I surround myself by the smartest people in the place.
Yeah.
So as a president going in, one thing I said is I don't mind if someone's not a politician if they go in there, but they better name the experts in every field, and we have not
He has
seen
nothing.
That. We have
By
not
the way,
seen that.
when you say I know more than the generals, that's what Trump
That's
said.
what he said.
Which is it? Or do you know more than the generals, or are you a moron?
But you don't think...
Which is it?
It depends on the situation.
As the President of the United States, you should know how not to step on the very Constitution that your presidency depends on, and you should also... Yes, he is. And you should also he knew enough to ask the Attorney General, he knew enough to ask everybody to leave the room so that he could try to persuade the FBI director to stop an investigation.
All right,
we knew that much.
We're taking a break. We'll be right back with more of this.